Okay, guys, let's get started on our cat. Any of the lines that are like, super dark, you really don't need them that dark, but we are going to put a wash over this entire cat of gray. Try to miss the eyes, and we're going to do the lightest color, right? So that means you're barely touching the surface of the paper. Notice how far back I'm holding my pencil, and we're just barely touching the paper. Oval, oval, oval. And you are filling up this whole thing. When you go over those areas that we put the scratched into the surface of the paper, you will see that the pencil is going over them, leaving them the white of the paper. So that's kind of interesting. Don't make it really dark, or you're going to end up with a black cat instead of a gray cat. And I wondered if this cat was even a gray cat, or if it's a tabby just turned into a black and white photo. Don't leave a whole lot of streaks. Don't leave using the side. You want the whole part of the pencil like this to be laying down on the paper, and you're doing oval, oval, oval like that, right? Even though we're not actually doing the hair just yet, I like to make all my strokes go in the direction of the fur. So it just kind of, I don't know, helps lay down an idea of where all of the, which direction all of the hair goes, and stuff. So this is kind of interesting. Some of it goes this way and some of it goes that way. So I'm just going to oval, oval, oval through the center of that. Hair goes out on this side. Then it goes up into here. My book is not laying flat. Probably have something in there. And you're filling up the entire page, except the eyes. And this is going to be the lightest color of your hair. So if you take a dirty Tertullian and you go over this color, it's going to darken it. So like, let's see if I got one. Yeah, look how dirty this one is, right? So I'm going to need to clean that or get a lighter. That one's dirty too. And if you don't have a Tertullian at home, you're going to use a tissue, a little tiny square of toilet paper, a Q-tip, which might take a while, and you might need 2 or 3 to blend. When I use a Q-tip, I usually just have it in, my pencil went off the ledge, and when it came back, it left a hard line. We don't want that. We want it to be really soft. Can y'all see those whiskers? So you don't have to actually draw the whiskers. Isn't that great? You just scratch them in. You do the same thing with colored pencil. Scratching in the surface to leave the white for a colored pencil. Well, that got really dark on the corner, so I was going to lift that out. And okay, so now we have like this really cool gray layer. And I'm going to take my Tertullian. You know how we dirty it up? I want to take it back here and clean it off. And it may take me a minute or so to get that clean. Let's see how dirty this one is. Ooh, even more. So if you leave it dirty and you go to clean the, or go to blend a light color, then you're going to just darken and darken and darken that color. So you can see where it's really starting to clean It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but now you're going to need to burnish this entire light area, and going oval, oval, oval. And this is going to be the light gray, which you heard me say, of the cat's fur. Now you can really see those little highlights, right? Isn't that fun? Try not to set your hand down in this. You know, don't set your hand down to do it. Just move your arm across. I hang my book off of the edge there, so I can't sit my arm down or anything. Just let your arm hang free. You can do that. Just seeing where that, if there's a white area there, but that's definitely not white. I was looking at my picture up here where this is, and it's not white. It'll definitely take you a little bit of time to do this, so I leave everything going in real time on my videos, just so that if somebody's working literally right along with me, then they can know how long it kind of takes. That, you know, if you speed it up, it seems like you should be able to do it in 2 minutes. Well, that's not true. Art is not hurry up and do it yesterday kind of thing. Take your time, do it well. If you're rushed for something, save art for another day. We're not in school. You don't have to do it on Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever day you have drawing. Okay, that is absolutely white on that side. That's where I was remembering that from. Okay. These are some of those darker marks. I don't want to lose the drawing part of it. Look how soft our kitty's looking. Just want to reach out and pet it. It's so soft to the touch. If you end up losing any of the like little dots, the little lines that we drew and stuff like that, you know, there's no reason we can't put those right back in. As mine all burnished away, and this is definitely dark on this side. I'll fill that in, and that is definitely dark there as well. Just try not to leave any absolute whites. You can actually color in the nose and everything, because it's darker than the hair itself. So we're gonna have to put some pencil down there anyway. Okay, so now that we have that in, you can actually go back and darken your Tertullian now. If you need to, you can even do this with your tissue. You know how you wrap the tissue. I was showing that week one. You just need a little square, right? And you just wrap your finger around it to where it's nice and smooth like this. And you can pick that up and then use that to shade in an area or soften into an area or whatever if you don't have a Tertullian. I just like to reiterate, guys, you just use what you have. If you don't blend it at all, you can still do a really soft wash of pencil where no lines show whatsoever, and you know, just going really slowly and smoothly, doing the whole thing, the Tertullian being a blending thing, you can be a little bit haphazard with it, but even with the Tertullian's not a miracle worker. So you don't want to just have crazy lines and then try to make the Tertullian fix it. It's not going to fix a bad shade. You need to always make sure that you blend really smoothly, even if you're using a Tertullian. Okay, I'm going to go across the top of this eye, and what I'm going to do is start putting in some of my darks that are underneath, and then we're going to put all the little hairs and whatnot on top. I want you to remember, pick up your Tertullian like this. Push your finger down there, and we're going to push upwards. That's why I turned my book vertical. And I'm going to go around this shadowy part, and I'm twisting and pushing this Tertullian along that darker strand of hair, creating this shape. Now, it's not quite as dark right there, so if you wanted to lift anything out, remember, just tap, right? Don't erase to go back to the white of the paper. You just want to tap it, right? So that will help you to lighten an area. And if you end up getting too much of it gone, just take your dirty Tertullian and go back over it. Okay. Here in this area, you're going to do the same thing along this line. Do the same type hair movement, and you're going to make this one and this one. And these are just stripes in the fur. You know, it's a little tabby cat. So, and it's not perfect. It's not going to look just like hair yet. You know, we're just putting in our lights and our shadows, right? So, I got to go back. Just in a little area, you know, about the size of a dime or whatever. Go over and over and over and over with your pencil, and then just kind of scoop it up. Roll your Tertullian over it, scooping up that black. And you may have to do that a few times. And then we're going to go underneath this little curved part all along this way. So we're going to go underneath the curved part and then right in through here, and then it goes down. So I can't really see my lines as much, but there is a set of dark hairs right in here. And you want to go in the direction of the fur, right? So I'm going to turn my book this way to get this last little section of hairs. So that you have these little stripes for your tabby. I hope you can see those going in the direction of the fur. And notice that they go down like this, right? All right. Notice it's starting to get clean. I got to dirty it up again. And there isn't any reason you can't do this with your pencil as well. You know, I'm going to go ahead and show that just in case people don't have a Tertullian or anything that they can use. Let's see, if this is the mouth, how far is that? From the nose to the chin. The nose to chin is about right there. I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a mark so that I know where to do this, and you're going to lay it along that that line of where the face is and where the neck is. Okay, so this darker area up underneath is the neck, and so let's see, I really can't see these lines. From here, it should come this way. So it should be about right in there. And I'm just laying my pencil on the side, getting a nice smooth stroke, right? So it's almost like it's blended already. Whoops, that got a little dark. But that's okay. There's darker parts in this shadowy area anyway. And then you just want to make sure that it goes in the direction of the fur. All the way around. This goes out darker into this area. So there's a light area here, and then this area is dark. So, oops, it went underneath into the last page. So that's no big deal. Okay. So I've got the dark area, I've got the area under the chin, and then I'm going to go away from the face. So you're going to follow this curve, and you're going to go away from the face. Let's see. Here it comes out like this, and then comes down and around. Okay. And this is the little bit darker hair of the cat up underneath, and it's all right in here. So this is what it's going to look like if you do a soft shade instead of using the Tertullian, and this is what it's going to look like if you use the Tertullian. You can always also use your finger. I don't usually do that because then your hands get dirty. You got to clean them off before you touch. You got to clean them off, and anyway. So I would rather take a little piece of tissue, whoops, and put that around my finger, and then do this. So gives it that nice soft look. I mean, it's a kitty cat after all, right? Kittens softer than anything. So this is what it looks like to use your tissue. Okay, so feel free to do all of those. Now we're still on this side. Sorry, paintbrush in the way. We're going to come around this part of the eyelid. And then there's this stripe of hair. I think these lines, I can see those. That's these lines here, probably. That one's actually a little higher. So what is this one? Oh no, that just should have gone dark. Dark up to this space. I'll clean off my finger now. And this is the stripe in the fur. And there's a little bitty one right there. Okay, so now we have this stripe, and this stripe. And then this is that dark part, that large area that we did. And it really kind of needs to be a little bit darker. So just add a little bit more pigment. Even if you're using just your pencil, add a little bit more pencil. And then you can, I'm going to tap out that dark spot. I just don't like it. To make it as dark as you need it to be, right? So if you're not getting it dark enough, add a little bit more pencil. I'm just barely touching. You notice I'm not pushing really hard, right? So just barely touching. Oh, I kind of got that a little dark, but it's okay. It's pretty dark right there anyway. And then you can use your tissue, your Tertullian, your Q-tip, whatever you happen to have. Something floating on there. In order to do this little bit darker hair here. And then it goes darker around the nose right there. It's darker in the nostril area. And it's darker down this space. This is the lightest part of the hair in here. So we're going to add a little bit of dirty Tertullian in this area. Probably not enough, but we're just getting started. So layers, 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 layers. You know how we are in class, right? The more layers you do, the more realistic it looks. So let's get those in. Now these start turning upward up here. There's a nice dark area, and then there's this little dot. I'm just putting in this dot and this little dark area. And then the hairs start to turn, kind of curve and start turning this way. Darker in that corner, obviously. Sorry, too much stuff on the table. There is a lighter space right here, and so I'm going to go dark around it. And then up into that W definitely has to have some pencil there. So it's going to be about in here. Let me RW. In his face, there is definitely some shading along here. Inside this space here. And you're going to go see the direction that you see the fur going. Very dark. In here. And this kind of comes to meet this. So, kind of a thin line. And then that goes vertical. Turn sideways. This side is white. So we can actually darken above it. How do we make something look lighter? Put something darker next to it. Y'all remember that? So, putting in all of our fur, going in the direction. This is the lighter part of the cat. So I'm definitely going to put in another layer of pigment in this direction. Going right over those lines again because they didn't get dark enough. And especially up into here and down into this. Now it seems like we do it multiple times, but it's better to do it multiple times than not be able to fix a mess up. So now the nose is actually a little bit darker than the hair around it, right? So we're going to go ahead and put a light coat on the nose itself. It's darker at the bottom and it's a little bit lighter as it gets to the top. So you kind of want to do a gradation so it's darker to lighter. And but you definitely want the nose to be a different color than this hair right here. And we're going to lift off those little white hairs, but it is a little bit lighter here at the top. There is definitely that line in the center. There are tiny little hairs catching in that area. And then here's the mouth area. And it is a gradation as well. So it's darker here and gets lighter as it comes out. But there are absolute black hairs or black spaces and stuff like that. So we'll end up drawing those in once we get all of that part absolutely softened. And I am going to just go ahead and get this chin part a little bit darker. I'm sorry. Didn't even realize my phone was in here. Okay, that's better. In the darker parts. Because going back and doing the pencil again and again and again is really kind of the way I was going to show you guys how to do that, but it will take a long time for y'all to, you know, going back and forth to darken your Tertullian, and not knowing what all y'all have at home. We're just going to work with our pencil, because everybody's got a pencil. We're in school after all. Okay, so this is kind of the map of the cat's face. This comes down this way, over, down, and around. Okay, that goes this way. Okay, I'm happy with that. There are, in this area here, there is this kind of a shape like this, and there are these darker spots of hair, and that's here, and notice that they're kind of in a row. So it's kind of dark, and then medium, then dark, and then medium, then dark. Kind of a, this is just where those whiskers and stuff live. And you just want those to have a place that they come out of. This is this area. Kind of comes around. It comes out a little farther. And then the ones on the other side, it doesn't look like they're in a row, but it's just that lighter side shows up more. Here's the dark, and then the light, and then the dark. It looks more spotted on this side, but, you know, do it the same way. If you see it that way, do it that way. So we're going to come in like where the end of the mouth is over here, and we're going to, whoops, we're going to put in a spot. And then there's a spot there. There's one that looks like a V shape. A little spot. And we're just adding all these in. Goes all the way out on this particular row right here. And this one comes in. Okay. So we have our mapped out of our light and dark fur, and then you can just go back in and blend that. Go in the direction of the fur. So you can speed up the video at this point if you want to, because it's going to take a little bit. Now I got my stripes really close to this. It is definitely a lighter color here. So I'm just going to tap that out. Tap, tap, tap. You know how to do this. If you end up erasing it too much, then you can go back and just put your dirty Trillium over it. Your dirty Q-tip, dirty tissue, you know, whatever you happen to be doing. This one is going down. So we're going to go down with those. Just following that direction of the fur. And then look back at your picture and see if there is a place that has the little white bumps in it. That means that you didn't get it blended there. So go back in and check that. So that you can do make them really look soft and all that stuff. You get rid of those little white bumps. This is shadow. Okay. And I'm leaving that little bit lighter at the top of the nose here. It's also on this side. It's a little bit lighter at the top up here. So I'm just going to tap out some of that color, but I don't want all of the color to go away because the nose is definitely darker than the fur right there. So now we are going to need to go back in and put in our nostrils because they're like gone from blending, right? So, but you know where they go because you can see the, you know, see the shape of it. You can still see through the blending. And it comes up around this shadowy part. Comes up around and then comes up the face a little bit. Whoops. Now I'm trying not to set my hand down, so I'm balancing on my arm back here because there's a lot of pigment on this paper. But one of the things you can do when working with your you know, not knowing where to put your hand and stuff like that, is to get a, this is just another sheet of paper from my sketchbook, I just tore it out, is to get something to put your hand on, and then you're not going to, you know, pick up that pigment and get the side of your hand all dirty or your knuckles. You know, we've all done that in class, so so that you can do that. If your hand sits out here, then, you know, that's fine, but even if it sits just on this edge, you're going to pick up all of this pigment and transfer it into other areas that you're not going to want that to happen. Okay, so I thought I'd lost this drawing. I just left it in the book, so I went back and drew it again. So anyway, so I got that drawing. If I ever want to do the cat twice, well, I've already got it done, right? We're going to go back in and put in some of our ultra darks. The reason we do that is so that you know when to make something even darker than it already is, right? And this is the actual ball of the eye. And there is an obviously like super black line all the way around. So we're just going to use the side of our pencil. You know how we do that in class. Make sure I'm following the right line. So we're going to create that dark right there. And there's even dark up there. You see these little lines right here? That looks kind of like these little hairs showing down into the cat's pupil or highlight. And so you can just draw some little lines like that. Make sure they're going in the right direction. And you're going to make it super dark up underneath there. Oh, I see the line now. Look at that. I just barely missed it. And then you're going to softly shade down into that, or gradate down into that gray that you've just put in there. And we're going to, this highlight right here is the only white in the whole of the eye. So if you want to go ahead and lightly put in some gray in the eye, feel free to do that. Went across this, so you know that's going to soften that gray, so I'm going to have to go back and put those really crisp lines in. And you don't want these lines to show, so I'm just tapping those out of that highlight area. And then there's this strange little, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but there's a black line right there. And then there's absolute white right next to it. Just going to use the edge of my eraser. And then it's gray inside the black part. So I'm going to go back and make that gray black again. Okay. Keep building up all of the blacks all the way around. That's really skinny on this side, but look how thick it is here and look how thick it is here. It comes to the top of this. So we didn't get it far enough down the first time. So we're going to bring it down a little bit farther and then softly gradate that away. Using the side of our pencil, we're going to get that darkest gray. And then our point of our pencil to get our absolute blacks. And fade into this space. Then it gets a little thinner here. And you can leave this right next to, you know, to where you're working. Trying my best not to set my hand in the picture. Now, some of this is shadow in the eye, and some of it is the black skin around a cat's eye as well. So if you see it, you can put it in. Like there's this little highlight and stuff like that, you know. I mean, you could literally just kind of erase away a little space and then make it super black around that little highlight, and it makes it look like a little shiny spot. Oh, I just went through it. It's such a tiny detail that I don't usually you know, worry with those quite as much. Now, this little area, that is a line in the cat's eye, and then there's those little gray shapes. So we are going to put that in because that is part of this particular cat. So it comes in and then curves down like this. And then there's a little peak, small peak. And then there's just a little curve like that. And you're going to shade up to that line, kind of consuming that line into the shade. And it's just a characteristic of this particular cat's eye. But it has that little light part right there. And then right next to that line is, you know, like a pretty white space. So we're going to erase away the gray. If you have a Mono Zero eraser, it'd be perfect for this. It's an eraser that is as small as your pencil, so it can kind of get into tiny little bitty areas and stuff, and do some really fantastic erasing. See this hard line right here? Now that's something we don't want, but you'll notice that there are these little highlights going in towards the center of the eye. And so in order to get rid of that, we're going to just kind of bring in some of those little lines that you see going into the center of the eye. And it'll help remove that that jig-jag line that was in there. So these lines are not perfectly straight. They kind of wiggle a little bit, but that's hard to do with your regular pencil eraser. And I'm just using the edge of the eraser. And if you see that you're not lifting anything off, then you need to go and clean your eraser off and just roll it on the edge, and then come back in and pick up those little lines. It is definitely darker next to the pupil itself, so we can go in and it's kind of like the like it's going down into a hole looking thing. And then this side is definitely lighter, so we're just going to put in a few darker marks on it. It is definitely darker on this side, and we're going to blend that smooth, except for where the little hairs are. There's a little triangle right over here. Just follow what you see, guys. I know these are getting a little bit harder. So for those of you that are younger, if you get your eye in, you get it shaded, and you get the little highlights and stuff like that in, just know I'm going to be so happy. That's not a... This is a little bit harder than the chickadee. Hope y'all enjoyed the kangaroo. That was a fun one. And it shouldn't be as hard. I know they're getting a little bit harder, but it's the end of the year. Y'all know a lot of these techniques. You should be able to apply them really well at this point. And there's a little white highlight right there. So I'm just going to lift that off with my eraser. I kind of flicked, so I'm going to go back and take that away. And we're going to put in some of these little lines even in this side that are in the shadow side, because they're there, which is really weird, because you know you normally think of that as somebody that has a like a eyelashes going over a face or something, but not, you wouldn't normally think of it in a cat. But you look at this cat's picture and I swear it looks like it has eyelashes. So you can put those in. There's a few long little hairs in that area. And then this is light, so that's going to be lift-offs when we get to that. This is a highlight, obviously, so that's the dark part around the eye, around that highlight. Lift that highlight back out. And that black should have gone right up to it. Let's get that eye shape back in there the right way. take all the time that you need to do this part. But it will take a little bit. Okay. Well, we've got one eye. And we've got a few hairs and we've got a few things. Whenever you're doing the lighter part of the hair, what's going to make that show up is the fact that you've got this gray up underneath, right? And you're going to go into the light areas and flick over into those dark areas. So following the direction of the fur, you're going to flick a few of these little lines over this dark space, come into this lighter area, and flick them into these dark lines. You know, I had a little mono eraser I was doing something with, but if you end up having to get another pencil just to have the eraser to draw with, that's really cool. So we're going to create these little light fur, and they really show up when it comes from the light over the dark lines. Looks so cool. And you don't have to do like a gazillion of them. Do as many until you think it looks like fur. I hope y'all can see that I've just worked in this area. And this area next to the eye is kind of, the hair is there, but it's kind of smushed down, almost like a transitional thing between going from long fur to skin that's going around the eye. So I'm going to blend that down in, and then I'm just going to do some little bitty short ones. Short. Little ticks. You're just kind of touching and lifting like a fling almost, but just really short. Okay? So that's the way this one's going to go. And then you're just going to follow the pattern that you see on the face. So there's lighter hair here. So this is that little round spot, right? Or is that? Oh, I'm kind of lost. I think this should actually be dark. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there. I'm going to go in the direction of the fur and blend it in. There we go. And we're just going to do our lift-offs. Now, whenever I'm doing something like this, sometimes I will grab like 4 or 5 absolutely brand new erasers, because, you know, you're not going to use them, you know, like 100% or whatever. But if they start getting dull or something like that, then you're going to want to pick up another one in order to keep the lines really thin, like hair. I mean, you need to make sure that they're really, really thin. And this is those dark lines, so this is light here. So, whoops, kind of goes up. And then a few going in that direction. This isn't completely blended right here, but, you know, it still will work. Kind of looks like the hair going in different directions, because guess what? This goes down this way, but then those go out that way. So this is kind of like something going around the eye, but I think those might even be a little bit long. So I'm going to shorten them up a little bit. And then these go out this way, going up towards the ear, you know. So we're just going to pick a few of those out. See the difference in this side where it's just flat and you started getting in all of your hairs and stuff? I just love this part just because it's so, it just, you know, just seems like it comes to life and I love it. Anyway, that's me. I hope you're enjoying art too, because this is kind of what I do. You can also use a mechanical pencil. Usually has a pretty flat eraser as well. I didn't even think to say that. Just keep building up those layers, guys. If it's not showing up, you may need to go back and blend some more, right? I'm going backwards a little bit, and then I'm flinging down into these areas. But I'm not going to make you watch me do this entire cat, because I want you to go and do your artwork. Where there is dark hair, you're just not gonna, you're just barely gonna lift out. And where there's light hair, you're going to actually push a little bit harder just to get those light lines coming into over the dark spaces. Now I'm coming backwards in here, so it looks like there's dark hair going over into this light area. Then I'm gonna pick out a few spots in the light area and then just keep going. I hope y'all can see how this is building up all of this texture in this cat's fur. So I'm probably gonna do this half. How's that? And then y'all can go and work on it. I want to see what you're doing. I don't know if y'all can tell, I'm kind of rolling it in my hand, but see how black this is now? So I'm going to take and roll the edge of my eraser and clean it off, right? And then I'm going to make it flat again. That gives me a new crisp edge to do my erasing with, right? So if you just try to clean it by pushing like this, you're going to round out your eraser, and that's what you do not want to do. When we use erasers in class, you know, we use those as drawing tools. We use erasers like this to correct any mistakes, you know, like if we need to totally erase something. And I don't know if you can notice, but some of my whiskers are not like absolutely white like they were. And I can also do those erasing. If you get them too fat in any area, I think that's just because this area is white. But you can just go with your Tertullian right next to it, and it'll kind of help pop it out of the darker space there. So just fling. You may have to do it a couple of times in order to get those whites back where you want them, right? So I hope you're enjoying the kitty. I just love him. He looks so cool. Not that I'm not going to do the other part. Oh, the nose. Look at this. This hair comes around here, and this part of the nose is kind of like tiny little, it's skin with hardly any hair at all, kind of like, you know, our hair or something. It's mostly skin. So in order for that to show up, you're just going to dapple your eraser, but, you know, it really does have to be a little darker than this. So I'm going to come and put some more Tertullian in there. And then I'm going to lift off these little bitty hairs that start right in here. And I am literally just touching, almost just tap, 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 in order to get those little, just this little scruffy marks. then it comes up about that far. Okay, yeah. So right here where this curve is, so that you know where to stop doing the tapping and start doing those hairs. Now, these little hairs come up and around this way on this side. So, see the hairs come this way, but then they start going up. It's almost like the hair on this side of the nose goes up to meet center line, and that center line is like right there. So, I can actually erase this line and show it to you. I shouldn't have marked on my picture, but, you know, is what it is. So see right here where they all kind of come together, and then it just goes up the head. So you're going to make those curve into there, curves out here and goes up, curves around this little part. And I just love that. It's like a cowlick in the middle of the cat. So it all touches kind of right here in the dead center, so it'd be about right there. So I need to make these a little bit longer. I'm gonna turn my paper just because it's easier for me with my right hand to do that. And then they go up. And then the hairs on this side come around, touching that. I really shouldn't have put that absolute center line in there, so I'm just going to kind of dirty Tertullian that away. It should just be lift-offs at this point. And then they go up the head. Like this. If it gets too light, just come back and put some little lines with your dirty Tertullian, and they'll look like the space between the hairs. So you can make that go up. And some of these look like they even turn out towards, see how these turn out? They turn out toward the eye. And I wasn't going to go into this side. I was just going to let y'all finish it out. So, play around with this hair here in the middle because it looks awesome. Right next to the eye, there is a lot of white hair on this side. I don't know how I got that dark there and then light up here because this is actually a little bit darker. I got the pattern mixed up, I guess. So just add that in. And then this area right here, yeah, is actually going to be a little darker. So I'm going to put a little bit of Tertullian in and then lift off a few highlights going over into that darker space. Rolling your little eraser until you get all the hairs in that you want. And remember, if you're not lifting off, you need to go back in and clean off your eraser one more time. You're going to take it at this angle. Don't go, completely flat because this metal is larger, right? And you're just going to softly, I'm not pushing hard. I'm just trying to get rid of the black on the edge. Then I'm going to lay it down flat and push a little bit until I get that cleaned off edge. And so now I've got that squared edge to just keep on going. So I will probably be here for a while playing around with my kitty cat, but I like doing this stuff. This is how I have fun. I know some people like to play guitar, or tennis, or whatever. I like to do art. And it's just amazing to me how you can take a white piece of paper and turn it into you know, something like this. It's just so fun. So keep going. Don't set your hand in anything because you've got so much pigment on here. You're going to lose all of the little whites that you just did. But just looking at this side of the cat, you can see, I might need to do a little bit of work down here, but you can see how it's just really starting to come to life. Follow the pattern that you see in the eye, around the eye, under the eye, alongside the eye. And I still think that might need to be a little bit darker in here. It's just where the skin comes to meet the hair, right? And anyway, not like that. So, all right, guys. I want to see your pictures so badly. Please, please, please send me what you're working on. If you need any help, you've got my email. Send me any questions, anything that you want to do. You can do this entire drawing with a tissue and a pencil. This is just a regular number 2 pencil. I chose this gray because there was not any like super blacks except right here, so you don't need charcoal or like a 6B pencil or something like that. So we did the entire drawings that we're doing during this coronavirus time and stuff like that with just a regular pencil because everybody's going to have a number 2 HB number 2 pencil. It's neither hard nor soft. H is hard, B's are soft. This is right in the dead middle. So that's why it's good for using for school and stuff. So anyways, I can't wait to see what you did. I hope you enjoyed the kitty cat. Look for this picture in your reference photo so that you can do the drawing. Make sure you add your lines and all and do your measurements, and he's going to look amazing. Okay. All right, guys. I can't wait to see what you do. Bye-bye.